What's good, ladies and gents? Welcome to the MKO Pugilism Boxing channel where we talk all things boxing. Remember to like, subscribe, hit the bell notification, put it on all so that you can get notified immediately as soon as we drop any new content. So without further ado, let's get into it. This past weekend we had another one of these sort of quote-unquote YouTuber cards with Jake Paul headlining against Tyron Woodley of the UFC. I believe Tyron Woodley was a five-time UFC welterweight champion, very sort of highly rated. He's a guy that was coming off of some losses in his UFC career and coming off a bit of inactivity, but I guess the thinking going into this fight was that, look, at the end of the day, he's a lot better than the basketball player Nate Robinson, who Jake Paul fought. It's a lot better than that Anderson Gibb, fellow YouTuber, who talent-wise is several levels below even a guy like Jake Paul, who's had no amateur boxing experience. So the idea was, look, he's fighting this guy, obviously better than Ben Askren, the wrestler and stuff. So Tyron Woodley was meant to be like a step up from who he'd been fighting before. So that was what this one was, and it turned out to be interesting fight all the way through. It was pretty close. You could tell that Tyron was a bit of a step up skill wise. I would say overall the fight was quite close. Jake Paul had to sort of be the guy on the back foot in this fight a lot. He had to be on his back foot. He had to sort of try and step back and almost try and sort of outbox Woodley for large portions of this fight. It didn't always work out. Woodley sort of found his stride, I would say, in the sort of mid-round, sort of 3-4 going forwards, and he sort of came into it then. Jake Paul had a good beginning to the fight, sort of good few early rounds there. Woodley did sort of manage to crack him and hurt him a bit, but for my money, just watching it live, I felt that Jake Paul just slightly done a little bit more than Woodley. I think for me, Woodley done a little bit too much waiting, and I think he took a little bit too long to sort of get going. He was holding back a little bit, and I would say, I wouldn't advise him to be reckless, but I would say that he'd have to fight that little bit more aggressively, sort of get onto Jake Paul's chest. I'd say that the body work was kind of missing from Woodley's tactics. I think he would have been a little bit better off just being that bit more aggressive, get onto Jake Paul's chest, bit of head movement. But I suppose he hasn't been doing it for very long, so it's one of those things where if you haven't been boxing for very long, you really can't. You can only sort of do what you can do. So for me, the little one joins me again. We thought that with Woodley's style, I think he could have done with a little bit more aggression, it could have done with a bit of body work. I think he should have really been going to Jake Paul's body to sort of slow him down and take the air out of the tires, put water in the basement, as Teddy Atlas says. It was one of those where a decent performance by Tyron Woodley, no disgrace. I mean, considering he's not a boxer, he's a mixed martial arts guy. He's a guy that could do wrestling, takedowns, punches, kicks. So he's come from a completely different background. Here, got a little one. So he comes from a completely different background. Boxing is not really his thing. So for me, I think he didn't disgrace himself. But decent performance. But Jake Paul, for me, just done that little bit more, just done just about enough to win. He wasn't able to hurt or really, make Woodley think twice at all. I think Woodley got to him a little bit, but it was one of them. Decent little thing, and for Jake Paul, it's a good performance, good sort of learning experience for him. He really is a ranked novice, so the fact that he could stand there and he could go rounds with a guy who's been doing the combat sports throughout his whole life is quite impressive. But anyway, that's just my thoughts on it. You know, good for Jake Paul. Maybe we'll see Tommy Fury next. I think that would be a good one. Jake Paul, Tommy Fury. I think that would be you might slightly favour Tommy Fury, but he's a ranked novice himself. So, yeah, that's probably the next logical step. I think Woodley was calling for a rematch. I don't see that happening. I don't think Jake Paul will be having any interest in that. He'll just be wanting to move onwards and upwards onto somebody else. So anyway, let me know your thoughts on that fight in the comment section below. And until next time, it's MKO Pugilism over and out. Catch you on the next one.